everybody, welcome to this panel. My name is Jesper Thorsson. I'm CEO of Export Music Sweden. That's the national export office in Sweden. And we do things like this. We're here with a trade mission to Korea. And it's so nice to be back in Seoul and in Korea, now with a fantastic group of companies that we brought here. So we were out on company visits for 2 days, and now we're here on Mukon, and it's so good to be back in Mukon too again. This is my first trip here actually after the pandemic, and it feels great. We also have something called NOMEX. That's the Nordic export offices when we work together. We run that as a program. I am on the board for NOMEX. We have Thomas Röde from the Danish export office here in the room. Too. We also get some other staff from the Finnish, Norwegian and Swedish export office here, together with our great group of companies. And now, my mission now is to try to land this jumbo jet of great speakers that we have here up on stage. So we got Michelle, Choi, we got JinSuk, Choi, and we got Robin Jenssen there, far on your right. Really heavy players, and I think it's better that they present themselves first and tell us a little bit about the background, how they ended up in the music industry, and where they are now. So let's start with Michelle. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I didn't expect to be the first one to speak, but thanks Jesper for such lovely introduction. Hi, my name is Michelle. I am currently the CEO, A&R, songwriter at Singing Beetle. It is a company that I founded to provide a healthy network and environment for songwriters and artists to create more great music. I started my career in the music industry at SM Entertainment as an A&R. I had a privilege to work with so many talented writers from the Scandinavia to write so many hits for our artists. And I guess that led me to the spot today. Nice to meet you. Excited to talk about our experience today. Thanks.
All right, Jin.
Hi everyone, my name is Jen. 안녕하세요, 저는 최진석입니다.
Hello, I am Choi JinSuk.
Some people know me as Jin by Jen. I have produced and sold a couple of records. For the business side, as an executive, I co-founded a music publishing company called Echo Music Rights, and also the tech company Spark with Robin. And also I'm a part of a Norwegian songwriting team called D-Sign Music. So over the decade, I've been involved with the K-pop market as a bridge between East and West. And then I feel honored to be here and look forward to the talk. Thank you.
And Robin, yeah.
Well, I'm back here again. Second round for today. I'm Robin, and I founded D-Sign Music back in, 20 years ago. And I also co-founded Echo with Jin and Spark with Jin. So I've done, I think, 30 years in the music industry, both on the executive side and also on the performing side. So I have a long history. I started with K-pop 15 years ago, going to Korea. So it's been 15 years going back and forth, flying in and out. And it's been an incredible journey for me to do K-pop. So I guess that's why I'm sitting here. So yeah, thank you Jesper for having me.
Thank you for being here. Talking about that long time ago, all of you have a long history in, of course, K-pop, but also in Nordic cooperation in different ways. When was your first encounter with doing Nordic operations. If we start with you, we start with Michelle always, I think.
I could see you looking at me. I was like, okay. All right, so I guess my first encounter with the Nordic writers were a Nordic mission is when I first went to a small town. Is it a small town?
I would consider it small town,
Okay.
especially if you compare with Seoul.
Okay, well, a small town called Örnsköldsvik in Sweden. There was a music school called Music Makana, and then the Universal had a songwriting camp collaboratively with the school as well as SM Entertainment. So I went there to represent SM to work with the songwriters in that song camp to basically to get us some hits. And some hits did come from that camp. That's also where I met Jen. And there we had the privilege to work with not only the established and experienced producers from Europe, but also we had a chance to talk to many students there who are aspiring to become the producers, who are indeed now doing really well in the K-pop scene, such as Luis, Frick Savine, Pontus, so many people doing great jobs. So that's how I met the people from the Nordic region. And since then, I have been working very closely with the writers and producers from that region, even till now. So yeah, that's my first encounter. And Jin?
Should I just?
Yeah, just go.
Well, I was invited to a song camp called Song Expo, which is happening in Trondheim, Norway. Small town, third largest city of Norway. But I was invited there, and then met Robin and my family design music, and that was 12 years ago. So since then, rest become the history, and we have established a lot of companies and also open up song camps all around the world, States, even Bangkok and Denmark, Finland, and such and so on. So and then they create a lot of hits for K-pop market and also J-pop, and then some pop music as well. So yeah, that's how it started, and then because of that, I realized that still the music is just such a universal language, without any language. I mean, without any type of a limitation. Because when you create something that is meaningful for any others, then it actually can touch your heart and also travel all around the world without any limits. So that's how I met Robin, and that's how I enter the Nordic market as a bridge.
Cool, Robin, you've been around you were also started as an artist, even a songwriter. You've written a lot of songs, and how did you start with Asia, and especially Korea?
Totally random. Totally random. It was just a song, a pop song, and obviously probably a great pop song because it went #1 here in Korea, in 12 other countries. It was the song Genie with Girls' Generation, I think 2008.
소원을 말해봐, 소녀시대 곡입니다.
And that's how it all started. We had no clue what was happening. We were sitting in Norway, in Trondheim, and we got some emails that, yeah, this song is doing really well. And we were invited to come and see Girls' Generation perform actually in Tokyo. They were #1 in Tokyo as well, in Japan. So we flew down to Tokyo, Tokyo Dome, I think, the venue was sold out 3 times in one day. So the Girls' Generation performed 3 times in one night, sold out. And that's when we realized that this is insane. 25,000 people with glow sticks, pink glow sticks, waving, and it was like nothing that we ever experienced before. So I had a little tear in my eye, and I realized that I want to do this. This is what I want to do.
Great. I remember that trip to, or because I wasn't there at that time, I was doing completely different stuff at Warner Music, but the talk started going. I mean, everybody had heard of this school, Musikmakarna, but it's not like today where everybody knows about them and their track record. But now even SM Entertainment is there doing camps, listening to songs, and everybody, oh, something is going on here. That was great. The Nordic countries and Korea, I mean, the formula seems to work. It's been happening a long time, many years. And this cooperation between Nordic writers, Korean writers, top-liners, producers, companies, what kind of parameters do you think that you throw into this mix makes the magic? Why does it work? Is it seems like we understand each other in a way, even though it's different cultures? Michelle.
I chose the wrong seat. But yeah, well, I think two things. The first one is basically the mindset of the Nordic writers when they were working, when they first started working with us. So a lot of them came open-minded because writers are also artists themselves. They have their own ideas about how their song should sound like. But K-pop is a type of music that mixes in so many different genres and different styles into it. Random rap sections would happen in a song, sometimes which is not easily accepted by writers. But a lot of the Nordic writers, when they came, although the whole system is new, the style is new, they were very open to try these new different things. And I know K-pop is notorious for asking for endless revisions. And with that, the Nordic writers are also very, and I'm sure Jin and Robin can vouch for me, are very, very patient with us to deliver what the labels are asking. So that kind of working relationship worked really well in our collaboration. So that collaboration went really well. But the second thing I thought was the style of music that come from the Nordic regions. The very strong emphasis on melodic melodies of music definitely contribute to our collaboration because Koreans are also the people who love good melodies. And it's a good mix. Nordic writers, of course, definitely bring something different because we did grow up listening to different types of music, and that interesting differences also lead to something familiar but new things to a lot of Korean ears and to Korean labels. So I would say those two things have contributed to such smooth and successful collaborations between the Nordic writers and the K-pop labels.
Interesting, cool. Jin, do you agree, or do you have something?
Yeah, I can top some of the words that Michelle just said. As in a social perspective, as a writer and producer, and I've been working with a lot of Nordic writers for years, and then what I realize is that there are so much similarity between Korean and Scandinavian or Nordic writers because you have this thing, janteloven, or jantelagen in Swedish. Yeah. But here, we are brought up in a culture of Confucianism, so that just to be humble or to respect others or elders, and to think of the greater good for group or society, or some more bigger aspect of either projects or society. So I think when there is some type of a common like foundation like that, and then when you actually communicate, either it is between label and writers or writers and writers, then you can actually respect what others actually saying. So when Michelle says, "Oh, label wants this revision and that revision," I've done this so many times. Probably like I don't know 40 revisions on one production. That's normal. And then I'm like, oh, again and again. But then when we actually in the consensus of the agreement and then the understanding each other, then we try to make it better because the more we put efforts, then the greater outcome we can have. So I think that is also the perspective that I feel, that there is a similarity between, in terms of the culture between Korean and Nordic writers.
Good, good. Robin, you have been sitting a lot of time here, of course, in Korea, but also on the other side in the Nordics. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the work ethics is extremely important. I think that's basically the same way it works. And compared to, I'm not going to say, but American writers who tend to not want to change their song, if you tell them to, I remember in the beginning we got these long emails, like not just 1, 2, 3 things, but when I read through it, I was like, so basically you want us to write a new song. That's how I felt sometimes. Like, okay, there's nothing left of the original thing here. So it was broken down in seconds, and okay, so it's like, okay, this little part in the middle eight they like, but everything else is just gone. And if you do that to an American writer, they would probably just say, this is the song. If you don't want it, then forget about it. But like you, Michelle, said, it's like in the Nordics, we have work ethics and we are eager to deliver. So we will rewrite and we will follow and we will do it as best as we can to make our client happy so that we get a release. So it's very important, that part. So yeah, I totally agree.
Cool. That's actually what I heard all years, that prepare to adapt and change the actual song without not too much fuss about it. What about English from Swedish songwriters? When I ask people in America, they say like a little bit the same, like why does it work in Los Angeles? It's because Nordic writers show up on time and the English is good. Also, is that something that you can vouch for when you're getting the first ideas for songs?
Yeah, obviously I speak English and they speak English, so that is a common foundation that so that we can actually speak each other. But yes, and also when it comes to songwriting and making lyrics of the demo, and normally demo is written in English, so that you can actually have a feel about the song when it's pitched to the label. And then the A&Rs actually can detect, some of the keywords which actually can be incorporated in a, like a little bit of a choreography or the music video concept-wise, so that when Scandinavian or Nordic writers come up with a lot of factors that can be visualized in a way, including the title of the song, then it is much better for the label or the artist can visualize how they would perform with the song, and then how they can actually match the fashions and everything. So it goes well with the whole flow. I wouldn't say Korean cannot come up with such the theme or the keyword or such, but when it comes to making lyrics and then making rhymes in English is probably different from how we actually rhyme in Korean. But still there are great hip-hop, Korean hip-hop artists, and then they're making such a great lyrics these days. But then I'm talking about over the years, it was evolved in a way. But when it comes to English, making English lyrics, I think that brings a good factor for labels can decide whether this is a single or not, because it has such a theme in it. Yeah.
Cool, good. The last years, have you seen any new trends in international songwriting for Korean and corporations, and maybe specific Nordic? What is happening has anything changed last time?
Robin, do you want to go first this time?
Yeah, Robin this time first.
No, there's a lot of changes after the pandemic. A lot changed actually. I think maybe one of the reasons was that artists started doing online concerts, and they realized the potential of selling tickets globally, they sold out, or not sold out, but they had so many people buying tickets for online shows, so that K-pop artists realized that, oh, there is a huge fan group out there, we should go touring. And right now, almost all the biggest K-pop groups are touring globally, which never happened before the pandemic. Only a few of them had a couple of shows, but now I saw aespa in Los Angeles, I saw Red Velvet in London, so they're all kind of touring. You had Blackpink doing Lollapalooza, and last year they did, you know, the biggest shows. They're headlining the biggest shows. So in a way, it has changed, but also the music videos started to be texted in English, so you can understand the lyrics. For a Western person who don't know Korean, obviously that helps a lot. But also now, a lot of featuring with international big names, and also now also releasing the song in English, which never happened before. So there's a lot of changes in making it more accessible for the international audience.
Yeah, Jin, do you have anything to say on that topic?
I can talk about how it was evolved, how it's been evolved when it comes to the production, and describe, you know, like a little bit of a demand from the label side, because you know, when I started my production career in K-pop, incorporating the collaboration with the Nordic writers, there was a little bit of, okay, let's put this writer and this producer in a room and see what happens. And then, you know, if the single comes out, and great. But then if not, we'll see, you know, maybe on to the next. So it was like a little bit of all or nothing, or A or B. But then now labels and all the A&Rs in the specific label actually knows which writer has this type of skills, which writer has this type of expertise. So, okay, what if we put this producer and certain writers into the room or some type of online session, and what would happen? So when they create something, and then also they may want to change the production, or they may actually add one more songwriter or producers on top of what is existing, then they actually choose whatever they want as in their preferences. So what happened to me personally is that I've done NCT U's Baggy Jeans, which was released a week ago. And then that was exactly what happened. So there was the song that SM wanted me to reproduce, and then rewrite the whole song again. And then I took this song to Norway, and then I wrote with my, another family, the songwriters, and then just to try to incorporate the whole core elements, but then try to make it fit for what label wants, what SM Entertainment wants, and then that happened. So that type of evolution of songwriting and the demand from the label, or the request from the label, has been more specified over the years, I would say.
It's not by chance, it's really, they know what they need.
Pinpointed.
Yeah. Michelle.
Well, if I may, Robin and Jen has already very much talked about everything. But if I could add on to what they said, K-pop artists and the labels are definitely looking to cater to the new audience more. Traditionally, our market has been focused mostly in Asia, but now we know that there are people outside of Asia who are interested in listening to our music. With that, we can easily notice stylistic changes in major artists as well. BTS definitely is a great example of how they changed from a hip-hop based to K-pop heavy performance idol group to a more easy listening pop music now that they do. And they also, like Robin said, do full English lyrics as well. But not only that, we are looking into other territories, including Latin America, where teams like Super Junior, seeing such potential in that market, they started adopting Latin American music elements into their songs early on, 6-7 years ago, and have also tried using Spanish into their lyrics to appeal to that the Spanish-speaking crowds even more. So the K-pop labels and artists are recognizing the expansion of the fan base and audiences, and definitely are trying to create something that will not only appeal to what we call like the traditional audience of K-pop, but also something that could appeal to a wider range of audience. So yeah, that's the changes that we're seeing.
Yeah, and that affects the, I guess, the briefs for songs too, what you need. And could you say that among some artists that and also Western artists actually maybe move into K-pop, and some K-pop artists move into Western? Does it mix sometimes the songs? Because I find K-pop, what I think is so fascinating, especially in the beginning when I started to hear songs, that they were so complex compared to Western pop songs. Is that changing, you think?
But you know, there is a huge platform called Spotify and Apple Music and YouTube, and you know, like people are actually listening to the music from the playlist, maybe pre-cleared or you know. What I'm trying to say is that the people are actually getting used to what they listen from the major playlist. Then if the song has to be, if the song is not really standing out as it is its own, then it has to be, it has to flow with the other songs. Meaning, even if a K-pop song is actually making a global phenomenon in a global market, but then I think so that the label is more into bringing a little bit more internationalized or somewhat friendly to the Western audiences as well. Maybe so the song is actually written as a song in English, and also there is such more collaboration between pop artists and the K-pop acts, and also which is actually catering for the Western markets. And I think there is also the demand from the existing pop artists who wants to have a collaboration with the K-pop artists, because K-pop market or Asian music market is a little bit different from the European or the US market because of, I guess the major difference is that there's a fandom behind. So if the pop artist actually wants to tap into the Asian market, then they want to tap into the fandom of K-pop artists or the Japanese artists that has. So meaning that when they have a collaboration, so Dua Lipa made a collaboration with the Blackpink. Then the Blackpink actually listened to Dua Lipa, and Dua Lipa fans or the general audiences actually get to know who Blackpink is. So I think there is also the promotional or marketing kind of purpose behind. But I think, because of the platform, there's no boundaries. So you can actually have an access to any other music out there so easily with a click. I think it's just the starting point of this true collaboration or being globalized when it comes to K-pop.
Yeah. What about new platforms, or not so new anymore, maybe? But we talked a little bit earlier when we had a cup of coffee about TikTok and dance challenges, and that K-pop is actually perfect to cut out bits and pieces for this. Michelle, would you like to start on this big topic?
Sure. Well, K-pop is pretty good at adapting to new changes happening in the media ecosystem. And it kind of dates back to even YouTube, when YouTube was first being introduced. Because K-pop itself is, it's evolving now, but it started kind of as a type of music not only just to be listened, but also to be watched. Because without performance, what is K-pop, right? So with that, the arrival of YouTube has been phenomenal for K-pop, because now people had a device to carry around to not only listen to music, but to watch performance with it. And that was important to break the language barriers, because you might not understand the Korean lyrics, but you'll still be able to enjoy a spectacular performance that is shown on the video. And that's how K-pop also grew international fan base. With that, TikTok is also, K-pop artists has been also pretty quick on jumping onto the new platforms like TikTok, creating dance challenges. It's also something that has been important to labels as they also draft the song briefs. It was like, they would always want to, hey, we want the song to have an element where we can make it easy for people to sing along to, or to create an easy dance that people could copy. So with that, like, they would always have this kind of marketing plan in mind as they draft briefs for music as well. So yeah, I would say K-pop's been doing well in trying different platforms and new technologies to promote the artists and basically, yeah, deliver music.
Great. Robin, do you have something to add on that?
Yeah, because the kids have an extremely short attention span these days, and K-pop can easily be chopped up into 15 seconds, hook line, dance break, whatever, and you have all these different 15 seconds of perfect for TikTok or other platforms to have reels or, to show these type of things. So it's perfectly catered for the kids to dig into, and they probably don't even know that it's the same song, but they're flipping through on their phones and, oh, I love the costumes on this clip, and I love the dance routine on this one, and I absolutely love the chorus on this song. It's the same artist. Cool, I like them. So yeah, it has those type of elements, because K-pop is basically like for me, like standing on the outside, like a super commercial, like a super commercial. It's put together in a way with perfect choreography. They paid $20,000-$30,000 just for the choreography on the song. Like, that's what an album costs in Europe to make, that's so obviously the product is so much better in every way, that why wouldn't kids love it? I don't see any reason for kids not to love something that is great.
And to me, in the streaming age, I think it's the product or artist is so ready when it's time for release. Whereas where we come from in the West, which is also a luxury, of course, that you can test songs. One song worked okay, next song, test an EP, and maybe finally end up on an album. But here, especially during those company visits where we talked a bit and got hits on upcoming artists, it's so done when it's on the release date, or of course before, when you build up the hype. So it's a real interesting difference. About writing, would be interesting to hear what you think of what is best, the big camps that all of you has been arranging, smaller sessions, or digital writing, sending files or writing on even over Zoom or Discord. Michelle, now you're first again.
Okay, all right. Well, if I have to put rankings on it, I would always prefer in-person camps. Maybe not so big. I would have more intimate number of people so that we can focus on the process, the giving feedback and listening, the communication can happen. If it's too big, it's kind of hard to go to every session rooms to listen to their music, spend enough time to provide feedback. But online session also has its perks. I think one of the things that I realized during the pandemic, because I was afraid that, okay, the world is shutting down, we can't travel anymore, how are we going to write? But that actually created some new opportunities as well, because when people didn't travel in person, which reduced the cost of writing, then people became more generous with their time. So let's say the producers or writers from Europe would come to Seoul to write, then you will want to make most out of it. So you will want to have sessions that will generate certain cuts. You want to be certain about it. We can never be certain, but you will want to increase the possibility. So when you arrange sessions like that, you will want to have people who are already experienced, have a good track record to go into rooms together. But when it was an online session, which is usually more compact and more efficient, these even established writers were open to having sessions with some new writers because, okay, I can spare like 2 to 3 hours of my time to write a song and see if it goes well. And if it does, then there is a new opportunity for new writers to continue to work with them and like learn from them and build a track record. And later that will get them into in-person sessions too. So yeah, so if I have to pick, I would definitely pick an in-person songwriting camp because there is something that happens in a studio that is magical. But online sessions from time to time isn't a bad idea, especially for those who are starting out.
Cool. Jin, your take on this?
I completely agree with what Michelle said. I love myself at the studio, actually working with people. And the reason why I became a producer is that when you are a producer and working at the studio, you are the one who is experiencing the moment of the birth of the song. And it's not the artist, it's not the label, it's not the publisher. It is you who actually create a song. So I actually really like that moment, and sometimes I cry, sometimes I have a great laugh, or I dance with the writers, and I drink wine and to celebrate. But then with the pandemic, it kind of vanished. So I was a little bit sad. But then there is, for the efficiency, you can actually focus on the production and then send it out as a file, and then getting the vocal file, and then get more songs done so that you have a quantity of the catalog, but then still you kind of miss that moment of a bonding. Yeah, I mean, during the pandemic, I think I was probably one of the first the Korean who actually traveled internationally, while everyone's, and then the airport was just so empty and it was super scary. But then I was just so happy that I was able to go out and create music, and obviously I cried during that trip at the studio, and yeah, and then wine, yes, and then that song came out last year, and then like all these moments are so precious for the songwriters, so you can't really measure what is good or not when it comes to online, or still it is interaction between the human being, but still it is better with physical appearances at the studio. Yeah.
Robin, the pandemic?
Yeah, from the publisher's side, I did arrange a camp with 250 people online during the pandemic. 55 online studios from 6 different continents, 23 countries. I don't know how many time zones was involved, but it was a complete cluster, yeah, FUCK. A lot of crazy stuff happened because that day when the camp started in Norway, we changed from summertime to wintertime, which I didn't think of at all. And imagine you already sent out starting times for everyone who's going to be online, and you're 1 hour off with half the people on the first day. It's like disaster. But we got it, we pulled through, and then we realized that, okay, the great thing with online camps when you do it is that people who come from countries that, first of all, maybe don't have the money to travel, or are politically or in some kind of capacity not able to ever travel, I got to include them. So people from Iran, people from Africa, people from a lot of poor countries that would never be able to fly up to Norway and stay there at a hotel for a week, and it's just impossible. So for that type of thing, it was amazing, and I would never have not done it, so I'm really happy I did it. But when it comes to quality and what happens in the studio, I will always want to have a physical camp with people in the room. And it's like Jin says, when you're a producer, you have 3 top liners in the room. Instead of sending a track that is half done to the other side of the world, and one singer is recording himself or herself without any guidance or without any, contact when they write, because a top liner can easily sing 50 different versions of a top line. And then which one do you pick and send back to the producer? And that part is gone when you do it online. You pick whatever you think, hopefully it's the right one. But if you are in the same room and everyone is feeling that's the one, then probably that is better than the 49 others. And that's what's missing. And that's why quality kind of, for me, because I receive a lot of songs. So during the pandemic, I could say that the quality dropped overall because of this particular thing.
I guess it must have been easier for creators and writers to work together online if you did it physically together before. Is that right?
That's true.
Easier to adapt to.
Yeah, but also if you do an online session, make it an online session, be online at the same time. Not just get the track and then send back some files the day after, because that's really not a online session. That's just someone writing top lines on a track. But a lot of people got a little, I don't know, lazy after 2 years.
Or awkward.
Yeah, it just became a little bit weird. But also the time zones are so different. You know, if you want to work with someone in, you know, have a session with a Swedish writer, LA writer, and a Seoul writer at the same moment, there is only like 2 hours that fits all of them, basically. So pretty hard.
Yeah, yeah. How do you, within K-pop specifically, how did the consumer and listening behavior change during this time? Do you have any ideas on that? Was it more streaming? And I mean, K-pop is a lot of physical sales. What happened during that time?
Well, I think, I'm not sure about if the listening habits have changed, because I think it's a generational change more than the pandemic affecting people. Like the younger generation, like Robin said, don't really listen to music longer than 10 seconds before deciding if they like the song or not. So we do try to spend our time to capture their attention from the beginning. But what I've noticed from the behaviors of the fans of K-pop is that, well, all the concerts have stopped because of the pandemic. The fans, but still wanted to support their artists. So the money that they couldn't spend on going to concerts, they spent it on somewhere else, still on their artists, which was buying their CDs. And during the pandemic, K-pop market is the only market that actually grew. It's very interesting because the whole global album sales was dropping during the pandemic, and not a lot of artists, I remember, weren't really releasing new music. But K-pop was the only music that was seeing growth in sales, and now it's selling at a record rate, right? It's selling probably one of the best-selling industries in the world. So with that, thankfully, the fans still continue to support their artists. Even after the pandemic, the tours have resumed, but they are still buying albums, so that the many artists are seeing very strong physical sales, which I think is also very unique to K-pop industry.
Yeah, that really proves that's how fan-driven it is, that we can't support them here on this venue buying tickets. What do? We do something else. Yeah. That's amazing. It's heartwarming. Jin, do you have any?
Yeah, I can only second what Michelle said, because you know, even 10 years ago, the most selling group probably annually would sell, I don't know, 250,000 copies, which is like a platinum in Korea. Probably 500,000, that would be the max, maybe up to 1 million. But then now, NCT Dream just sold, I don't know, 4.5 million copies.
Crazy, yeah.
Which is like insane.
Yeah.
I mean, as a producer, I'm super happy.
Of course.
But what I'm saying is that you know, the aggregated fandom and then the, you know, the development of this fandom in different countries towards K-pop has been so intense, and which is for me as a producer, I feel very grateful, and for me as a Korean, I feel still surreal, because when I get to travel and then people ask me, you know, what do you do, and also at the border, you ask, you get asked, what do you do? And then I said, music producer. Okay, what kind of music do you produce? Well, I don't know if you know about K-pop. And then 10 years ago, they go, okay, K-pop, whatever. And then now, these days, when I go border, even the border officer actually asks, what kind of K-pop do you produce? I'm like, huh? Is that really relevant right now? No, I done some, and then I really like Blackpink. Okay, I have done that before. So those type of questions are popped up in the normal life. So what I'm trying to say is that the development of expansion in K-pop is actually the main factor for this type of changes, also the fandom, and then also, which is also influencing different type of cultures generated in Korea, meaning film or TV series. Yeah, one of the questions that I actually was asked during the pandemic when I went out, and then did you see Squid Game? I'm like, no, I haven't yet. Well, you gotta see it. You're Korean. Oh, okay, I'll have a look. So those type of, I guess, it can be a little bit considered as a Korean invasion in a way. But
absolutely.
Then, yeah, and then also the Korean cuisine and all these different culture elements are also exposed because of the K-pop and all this expansion of the K culture. So which I feel very surreal about.
Cool. Robin, for you during the pandemic, what did you change apart from, did you move around the release dates or? Yeah.
No, I saw the changes was, there was no releases in Japan, for instance, nothing at all.
Yeah.
And they still, almost until now, they've been holding back. But Korea, like you said, it kept on going, and it kept the wheels going for my writers. That luckily, because obviously touring globally was dead, so there was no income coming from that part of and that's like 60% of the income streams.
Yes.
So it was really hard for the Western kind of songwriters, producers, and artists who didn't have any income stream coming in from those 2 years. But for us who did K-pop, we actually made more money than before. So for us, it was better. Is that? Is it okay to say that?
It's okay
Maybe
now.
It sounds bad.
2 years after, it's okay, Robin.
and like you said, the fans kept on buying, and it just kept on growing. And right now, it went 70% up from last year. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, that is crazy. So if
like Jin said, like 10, 15 years ago when I mentioned K-pop, I lived in LA from 2013 to 2016, and I mentioned K-pop, and it was like, what? It's like, no, we're not interested. We don't want to co-write with your people. It's like, okay. But now when I go to LA, it's like, how can we do K-pop? Is there any way you can get us into Seoul to do K-pop? We love K-pop. How can we get in there? Like, guys, you're a little bit late.
You had your chance in 2013. Yeah. Speaking about getting in, if you are a young emerging songwriter or want to be a producer or in the Nordics or here in Korea, how do you start? Except for, learning the trade, how to do it. How do you... Robin, you said it happened to you by chance to get into K-pop, but you were pretty established before. But if you think you have something going as a young writer, where do you start? How do you network? How do you...
I think it's like with everything you need, this is very boring, but you need 10,000 hours of your life to be good at anything. So that's the minimum. You have to put in 10,000 hours as a producer or a top liner to be able to write a great song. Then you have to study that market that you want to get into. If you want to be on a BTS album, then for God's sake, listen to BTS first before you send the song and think that, oh, I have a K-pop song now. No, you have to check out what did they release before, where are they going, do you know the A&R? Do your homework, make sure you have the best song ever, and also understand the mechanism in the room where the A&Rs pick their songs. some labels, 20 people sitting in the room listening to 300 songs in a day. And if your song is not mastered or at least at par with other demos, they will just skip immediately. You can have the best song in the world, or if you have the longest intro in the world but nothing happens, it's dead. You might have the best chorus at 1:30, so cut the song and start at 1:30 then, because the label will come back. We love the chorus, but you have to redo and add an intro. Oh, that's easy, but instead of being skipped and dead, then you have to make some choices.
Yeah. Jin, what is your take on that? I guess you run into a lot of young people that want to get in and be like you when they.
All I can say is network and network and network.
Yeah.
If you want to be seen, if you want to be heard, then you have to expose yourself. And also you need discipline to develop your abilities and skills. Otherwise, when it comes to song camp, and there are so many newcomers, and we actually monitor all the demos of the candidates who are actually who can be eligible for participation. And then when we pick the demos, and please come. And there are some like 1 or 2 people who are really, really talented, but then it's like the diamond, uncut diamond. And then this person will actually deliver something amazing. So when we have a week worth of a duration of the song camp, and then within 1 or 2 days, and then the people talk, this girl can sing crazy, or this person, this guy produced a crazy production. And then all these people with the Grammys, platinum certification, they want to work with them. So meaning, when you are ready, when you are disciplined enough, and then when you actually can expose yourself into a certain occasion, then you will be shining. You'll be shining so easily. So I think it's just a matter of when and how and with whom. So to do that, then you have to knock on the doors and see what happens. For me, I receive also a lot of emails, a lot of messages, a lot of demos, and then I can't really decide whether I have to listen to it or not. I just stop doing it anymore. But then when at certain point, when there is a sincere email I read, and then when I actually found the new talent, this is the one. Then I actually reach out and then try to see if there is a possible collaboration that I can do with them or do with her. Then that is the starting point of him or her, right? So I think without trying, without any efforts, putting the efforts to be seen or heard, then nothing will happen. So I think only key in this industry is just to network and network and network.
So 10,000 hours or maybe 20,000 hours, and then network. And Michelle, you work a lot with young people.
Well,
Anything to add?
I agree with what Robin and Jen said, mostly. I would say, once you are ready, and like Jen said, don't be afraid to reach out, because if you don't have anything right now, it's very unlikely that people will reach out to you first. So what you can do is to reach out to them, because you have nothing to lose. You never know. I also get a lot of DMs on Instagram, sometimes emails and whatnot. Hey, can you listen to my song? And it's not only the up and coming rookie writers who reach out to me, but even the ones who are most successful also reach out. So if they're doing it, why wouldn't you do it? And yeah, maybe not every song will be listened to, but you never know. Somebody will listen to your song and reach out to you. Hey, I really liked your music. Maybe send me more, or see if we can collaborate. But unless you knock, that door will never open anyway. So I would say, yeah, reach out to people that you want to work with, that you want to learn from. Don't be afraid of getting rejected, because I'm sure they can vouch for me again, but we will submit hundreds of songs, and out of that, one will get cut or not. So the ratio of even the professional ones getting cut is very low. So not being afraid of rejection and reaching out to people proactively would be the advice that I want to give.
Just a comment. the cut ratio, which you're talking about, is extremely important. And as a publisher, even for the most seasoned writers, it's extremely rare to cut more than 15% of your songs. So 1.5 song out of 10. So I would say 1 out of 10 is usually the ratio. So if you have written 20 songs in your life, then it's too early. There's no use, basically. You don't have that song. But when you reach 100 songs, then you're reaching, like I would say, 100 songs is like the minimum before you reach out to anyone to showcase who you are and what you do. So have as many sessions as possible when you start out. Doesn't matter who they are or what they do, just have those sessions. And it could be a disaster, it just didn't work out, but you need to be through those sessions where everything goes totally bad and you end up just drinking coffee and laugh. But you need to be through those sessions. And suddenly there is this one session where everything just changes overnight and you're good enough. But it's having that persistency and also being selective with the when you get to that point, you should start getting selective and really be, the word I was looking for, being conscious about every choice you make. Why am I doing this? Who am I writing with? What have they done? How can they take me to the next level? Who do they know? How can I get into the room with that person or that person? Who do I need to talk to get to this person? Make a plan, make a wish list, and then go for it.
Yeah, thank you all so much. I mean, I'm checking the clock here, and I was thinking 60 minutes. How can I stretch out this to 60 minutes? And now they're gone. Time is gone. I think we have time for 1 or 2 questions if there are any questions. They said everything. Oh, we have one. We have one over here.
Oh, hi. I really wanted to just ask more about the, I would say, when two cultures meet, it's really hard, I think, to work when you just start, because it can be the moment when you see, oh, I guess this is what culture shock is. I guess they do it differently. I guess it's just another country, another culture. So my question is, did you have this moment, and did you have like a specific moment when you were shocked or amazed, or maybe just, I know, just something that you really remembered from another country, another culture? Yeah.
Interesting question. Who would like to start?
I can start. My first meeting here, my first executive meeting in Seoul with a label. And I was sitting there, and in Norway, the word no is nei. But the word yes here in Korea is ne. So I was like, oh my God, this is going terrible. They're saying no, nei. It's like, I'm like, oh, no, this is just a disaster. So when I get out of there, it's like, Jin, this didn't really go well, right?
It's fine.
It's fine. Why? But they said no all the time. I was like, no, it means yes. So yeah, it happens.
Yeah. Super good. Do you have any? You've been traveling a lot, all of you.
Well, I could say Koreans sometimes tend to be very vague, especially when we have to say no. Because I think out of our intention to be polite, Koreans are not good at being direct. But I've noticed a lot of cultures from the West like direct and clear communication. So there has been some miscommunication between the writers and A&Rs when I was working on the A&R end of like representing SM. Sometimes our intention could be misinterpreted, and then they're like, okay, you like our song, like, or you don't like our song because you acted in a certain way. But it's also very hard to press other Koreans to be, okay, we're gonna tell them this isn't good. But they were like, but they'll be offended. It's like, no, they would actually appreciate your honesty so that they can revise the song and make it better and actually get it cut. So that kind of cultural difference, I guess, has been something that's noticeable for me.
Jin, do you have any?
Just a comment. It's totally right because yes means maybe. Maybe means totally no. So if you get into those meetings and you get a yes, then maybe. But if it's maybe, then it's totally not going to happen. Yeah. So it has to be 10 people like standing like this, then it's probably a yes.
Well, as a creator, I can just share about the experience in the studio and where I actually put myself as a human being, not as a Korean. Because when you think about all these boundaries of a culture, when you actually have to create something within a day, from the scratch to the quality of what you actually can listen as a final product. So you need to actually sacrifice a lot of things. So I'm not saying I have to sacrifice myself in order to get to that point. I'm just saying that you have to focus on what you actually, why you are in the studio. You don't think about the culture boundaries, or you don't think about, oh, I don't like this person. He has a really crazy, creepy vibe. You don't think about it. You just have to utilize what you have as in interaction with others. So sometimes it can go wrong. Sometimes it doesn't. And normally, it actually started with a 2-day one song per 2 day for 2 days. So it was a little bit. Relaxed in a way. Okay, yeah, we have all the ideas. Let's record a song tomorrow. But then now the standard is actually 1 song per day. Then you have to be very, very precise in the decision so that you actually reach to the point where you actually say, yes, we're done. So for creative side, I think thinking about this, the conflict of cultural conflict, it probably would be not so productive elements that you want to think of. Yeah.
I know we're out of time, but I must add,
Yeah, you
because
must.
I just remembered something. I realized that Koreans work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Oh yeah.
And then when we need something, especially during the summer, I go like, hey, we need a song like done tomorrow. Or yesterday, we needed it done yesterday. And then my European colleagues are away for 3 weeks on a vacation. So
Only 3?
we are very jealous of that difference. But yeah, Koreans tend to...
Talking about Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
then we're
Christmas
gone.
too.
No, but it's true. And we had one meeting on this trip with a Korean woman I know that changed position within the company. From one department to another. And she said, now I don't need to go home around midnight anymore. I have a little baby, so I can leave the office at 7. And I agree with Robin about the work ethic in the Nordics. We work pretty hard when we work, but to come to the kindergarten at 7 in Sweden, Finland, or Norway, that doesn't work. You show up there, I remember coming 4:30, and they're standing waiting for you, the people working for this there. So it is differences. But yeah, we work hard. Big hand for this fantastic panel. Yeah. Thank you so much, and for you to be listening to this, thanks so much. Don't forget the Nordic mixer, the Nomex mixer tonight in 14 minutes, actually. See you there. Yeah, cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesper.